Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello. Hello, chat. Are you all well? I'm just looking to see if anyone's actually hearing me in chat. Are we actually live? It'll take a few seconds just to spin round, methinks. Apparently I am live on the chat page. Yes, and Ridian says we has a live page. So there you go. You can't hear Sav and Keith, Chiefy Keefy, because I've got them muted. Yeah, I can hear them in this ear, but you can't. You can't see them either, because I'm not set a shot up with them. No. Nobody knows you're there, Sav. No, it's all good. It's all okay. It's all good. So barring any more developments with my hardware that's happened today, I won't go into that because it's been rather fraught for the past few hours. But there you go. Got vid and loud sound. Lovely. Is it loud enough for you, Leanna? Or shall I turn it up a little bit? Do you want some more volume? Shall I pump up the volume? Check it out and all that. In it? No? Okay. We'll be kicking off in about 5 seconds, and then we'll be kicking off in chat shortly after that, I should think. Because I make it 9 o'clock, so what we're going to do is we're going to have one of these and then some of that. Yeah, so yeah, you know what I mean. Hello, good evening and welcome. It's just gone 9 o'clock. Yes, and it's Tuesday the 21st of July 2015. Nearly time for Vakefest. Yes, I was just watching my call drop there on the laptop because Sav and Keith have just dropped off. Yes, nearly time for Vakefest, which is going to be rather interesting this year. Yes. There's no flanges. There's no flanges at all on this show. I just had to say, Dave the Rayon. No. And that's the first and only mention, apart from this one, of flange during the next hour. Yes. There's no other mention of that particular item in the show whatsoever. No. Yes, so good evening, chat. Who we got in? We got Chief. Yeah, he's just been talking to me. Ridian, isn't it? Rob, Kelly, Monster, Robin, Aaron, Dave the Rayon, I've just spoken to. Miles, hello Miles. Pete, Tom, Disco Des. Disco Des knows all about Vakefest because he's bringing cider like what is in here, only probably better. Yeah, probably better cider than I've got in there. Blaze and Ashley it might be. And Bernice. Hello Bernice. No. If you mention that word in chat, I will have the guys delete it from the chat. So Vapour Trail's TV staff, if you see that word beginning with F and ending in E, delete the post. I do not want to see any of those items in my chat room tonight. No, I'm only joking. It's all good. Yes, Leanna Lawless has it right. Excuse me bending down there trying to see my screen. But there you go. So what have we got tonight? Well, a bit of a strange week really, because after I left you last week, the following morning I was up to the northeast and then up to Scotland, and I did not appear back in South Yorkshire until Saturday afternoon. So it's been a bit interesting getting the show ready for you this week. But I was quite active with my camera in the car. So I've got not one, not two, but 3 little segments for you recorded in the car last week. Disco Des, you're a naughty man. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, dear viewer, you should come and watch the show live and come into the chat room, because you'll see all sorts of carrying on going on. Anyway, I am just going to do the titles, I think, yes, while I sort out chat. Yes, it's Vaper Scene. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape. UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. Yes, good evening and welcome to this week's Vaper Scene with me, Mark Van B, otherwise known as Mark Green. Yes, it is I. Back on your little screens again, or your big screens, you never know. I don't know if you're watching it on. You're watching it on a little monitor, a big monitor, or a big TV. I don't know, because you can watch this in all manner of ways. On tablets and on phones and on televisions and all sorts of what have you. Yes. So, yes, like I said before, the titles there. Bit of a busy week for me last week, so I was rambling a lot in the car, but I did take some bits and pieces with me, and then when I came back I had some bits and pieces waiting for me, so we're going to talk about those in part 3. Now, I've got some juices down here that you can't see, that arrived while I was away, that I ordered the week before, and it's a bit of a not new-ish, it's kind of newish way of doing things. You can order but you can mix your own flavours. You'll see what I mean in part 3. It's all good. What have I got to say? Yes, they'll all be naughty. Ridian, keep them in check. You're on chat monitor status tonight. Give yourself a night off. We'll be updating the swear filter to include that word, what begins with F and ends in E. Yes. And it's not custard. No, custard's allowed. The other word isn't. So there you go. So what have I got for this week? Well, I've got some news stories, but what I'm going to start with is something that's popped up over the last couple of days, and it's this. Yes, Vape Jam UK 2 coming back to London in June 2016. Now you may wonder why I'm kind of musing with that, and I'm musing with that specifically because on May the 20th 2016 the Tobacco Products Directive, including Article 20 as it stands, becomes law in the UK. And when that happens, any gathering such as Vape Jam UK, or such as Vaper Expo, or such as Vape Fest, or such as e-cig Expo will not happen, because it will be illegal, it will be prohibited. And if you look at Article 20, this is Article 20 Section 5. Any form of public or private contribution to any event, activity or individual person with the aim or direct or indirect effect of promoting electronic e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes and refill containers and involving and taking place in several member states or otherwise having cross-border effects is prohibited. It will be prohibited. This will be prohibited. Your forums will be prohibited. Because that's what Article 20 is all about. It's all about stifling us. It's all about cutting off what we want. It's all about taking away our choice. And the only way you're going to get to an event like Vape Jam UK 2, or Vape Fest, or Vapour Expo, or whatever happens next year, the only way we're going to get that is if Totally Wicked's action in the court in Europe in October time is effective. If it's not effective, then I'm sorry, but we're all stuffed. And I need to get this out there, first of all, tonight. You need to sign the petition. You need to get your friends and family to sign the petition. You need to speak to your MPs, your MEPs, anyone that will listen. Otherwise, we won't have anything next year, after May the 20th. we will become outlaws. Now, if we still broadcast this show and our other shows, we will become outlaws. We will be, I don't know how they're going to do it, how they're going to prosecute, how they're going to actually enforce all this stuff, but they will. And you can just imagine an event taking place after it becomes law, being shut down, going all over the media. I could see Mrs. McAvan there rubbing her hands, going, "Yes, we've got you." We don't want that. So unless we take action, that is what's going to happen. So please, please do the right thing. Speak to everybody you can and get them to sign the Article 20 petition. And guys, if you got it, can you put the link into chat, please, for that? Because we really need to get everybody. And I know I'm talking to the converted already. I know I'm preaching to the converted because everyone in chat and most people who watch our shows know about this and have done this already. But we need to keep up the fight. Pete Collins, freedom of speech. Yeah, well, that's not going to cut it. Yes, we've got freedom of speech in this country, but it's freedom of speech. However, this law is going to stifle our freedom of speech, and this is something that we've got to fight against. You know, it's just wrong. The whole thing is just wrong, and the only chance we have thus far is what Fraser's doing with Totally Wicked and taking the action in the European courts. No one else is doing it, so we need to support them. That's it. We need to support them in whatever way we can. Otherwise, there'll be no more Vape Fest, there'll be no more Vapour Expos, there'll be no more Vape Jams, and there'll be no more forums and stuff like this in this country. And whether or not they can stifle the stuff coming from the States, like from people like Dimmy and Phil and Nick Green, if they can stop those videos hitting YouTube, can they get YouTube to do that? I don't know. But what will happen is, if we're broadcasting from this country, they can shut us down. And they will shut down all the events. So for goodness sake, we've got to take action. And a lot of posts on the Vape Jam website were saying the same kind of thing about the TPD. So hopefully they're going to change the date and make it May, before May the 20th. So if everything happens before May the 20th, we'll get some good events next year. It's either going to be a celebration or it's going to be a mass blowout before things hit the fan. But things will hit the fan unless we take action. Neil says, bring it on, I'm ready to go for court to this. Yes. I'm just looking at there. Top of about 2 million of us take a break in the law. Yes. This was what will happen though. People will go underground. They'll get their stuff black market. And who knows what's going to be in it. You know, we've all seen the old cheap fags thing where you get sweeping uppings off the floor in your cheap fags. You get all sorts of stuff in your cheap fags. You don't get normal cigarettes. You get the worst of the worst. So if we're going to get juice underground, you don't know what's going to be in that. It could be all sorts. It could be mixed in a really filthy bathtub, for all you know. We need regulation. This is true. But we need sensible regulation. And the only way we're going to get that is if we fight for it. And the only way we're going to fight for it at the moment is we have to support Totally Wicked's action. So please get on and do that. I'm going to speak to my MP again and get a question asked in the House. I'm going to speak to Dan Jarvis and get him to ask a question. I shall be doing that this week. So hopefully I can get something within the next couple of weeks. Anyway, there you go. Now, that being said, I want to talk about another event that happened in the States. And if I go to this story, here we go. This is in New Jersey. Health officials bust vendors promoters at NJ e-cigarette convention for indoor vaping. Oh yes. Vapour Expo NJ this weekend drew roughly 1,200 vendors and electronic cigarette enthusiasts, as well as local and county health officials, who fined the expo hall manager, the event promoters and nearly 70 sellers about $50,000 for violating the state's indoor smoke-free air law. Edison and Middlesex County health officials wrote 66 citations against vendors over the course of the weekend for allowing customers to vape inside the New Jersey Convention and Exposition Centre, said Jay Elliott, director of the Township Division of Health and Human Services. Really? This is a vaping event. It's been set up as a vaping event, and they didn't bother to find out whether or not it was going to be legal or not. If it was going to infringe any of the smoke-free laws. Obviously it has, and they closed them down. Here's some more on that story. On Saturday, Balog said he intended to challenge the fines, arguing health officials were mistakenly applying the law to what is a private building he had leased out of a 3-day show. The township signed off. They knew there would be vaping, he said. Elliott disagreed. Although the expo hall is a private building, we were assured this was a private trade show. It was effectively open to the public, Elliott said. As long as patrons paid their $10 entry fee, vendors paid $25 and signed a document saying they were joining a club called the Vape Expo NJ 2015. That obviously didn't work. The club ploy didn't work, so they were busted. That is what will happen in this country. That is what will happen. They'll get us under some law or another based upon Article 20. They will get round it that way. What I was slightly dismayed to see is a post by Phil Rosado, and it was this. This was at that convention, and this particular company thought it would be a good idea to have pole dancers. Really? Pole dancers? I mean, we had the booth bunnies, and you get booth bunnies at lots of events. Be that, I mean, the motor show used to be wall-to-wall ladies all over the cars, and there were some very scantily clad ladies at Vape Jam, and also to a lesser extent at Vapour Expo. But a pole dancers, if your juice is that good, you don't need to have gimmicks like that. And that's the kind of thing that the people who want to get rid of us will just latch onto, and they'll make what they will of it. So why give them the ammunition? And this was at the same event where everyone was kicked out, basically. Let's see what chat I've got to say. And I'm on my own, so I've got to look down here. Bernice Evans said, who said you could copy my pic? Which one were you, Bernice? I thought you were blonde. And Yamanola says, UKV has a lot of posts against Totally Wicked because of the PAS. Well, we'll be looking more into the PAS from last week. A bit tomorrow, I think, because Iridian was there. Let me just get my other mouse. Ashley Miller said 3,000 people at Vape Fest, 5 coppers, the whole of the police force by the time the cuts come in. Don't see that working. Yeah, this is a good point. It'll be, you know what it'll be? They'll have just a couple of cameras. You know, like if you go into a box junction in London, that happened to me once. I was in a box junction about a foot and a half, and I got a £65 fine through the letterbox 2 weeks later, because some bloke on the other end of a camera was there looking and playing with his joystick and then taking my picture. And I was a foot and a half going out of a box junction. I looked at the video, the little footage, I was in there for 3 seconds, 65 quid. It's not bad, is it? 20 quid a second? Yeah. That's what they'll do. They'll be doing stuff like that. What else have we got in chat? Let me scroll down. Disco Des says, which was the blonde end? Des, come on. Yes, vaping rights. The only way we're going to get to keep doing what we enjoy doing is to fight for it. That's it. You know, there's no other way around it. There's no sugar-coated pill here. If Article 20 gets into UK law on May the 20th, then things will change, and there'll be no way around it, because it will be law. Getting a law changed after it's in is a lot harder than getting it changed before it's in, let me tell you. And Gordy, here we go. We need to forget the past. It is the future that matters. And you're entirely right, Gordy. You know, what happened with UKV and Totally Wicked in the past was somebody else. It wasn't Fraser proper. Jason was the kind of instigator of that, and it's history. It's got to be history. What Fraser's done with Totally Wicked, changed the company around. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He's done so much research. If you saw last week's show, you'd have seen him talking to Dave. He knows exactly what needs to be done. You just need support. And he's putting the money up here. Let's not forget that. It's not exactly going to cost a couple of quid. We're talking millions of pounds that his company is putting up. And he's the only one that's doing it. Now, maybe he's doing it for his own company and for his own employees. Well, that's good. Because as a responsible employer, he wants to fight for his business. But by that action, he's also going to make a difference to every other vapor in this country and in Europe. So let's not forget that, because we need to look forward and not backwards all the time, because that'll get us nowhere, will it? It'll just get us absolutely nowhere. Right, let's go to the break while I look at chat, and then we'll come back and we'll have some other stuff. Yes, see you in 2.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vapour Trail's TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
And we're back. Hello. We're just trying to catch up on chat there during the ads. It's not easy because there's a lot going on in there. And if I use the right mouse, I'll even get to some more. There is some really bad legislation that's happened in this country. Bees pointed out there about the Welsh Assembly. And Neil Robinson says, Fraser has more than earned my respect with everything he has done for vaping as a whole and not just his company. Like I said, we need to let bygones be bygones, and we need to think about the future as opposed to the past, because they're their only hope at the moment. You know, it's almost a help me Obi-Wan, your only hope, because that's what it is right now. What else we got in chat here? Leanna Ola said, same as the TBD was before it reached the rubber stamp at Parliament. Yes. Now, obviously, we did the whole campaigns on Vapour Trail's TV. We did the Twitter bombs. We did the writing to the MPs en masse and everything else. Got ignored a lot of the time. Went to Brussels and did the black balloon thing. But then it was passed. We got slightly shafted by some of the people that we thought were supporting us. And others had to vote a certain way because that's the way they were told to. But since then, the onus hasn't really been on us, the community, the vapors, to keep action up, and that's where we're falling down. Really, we need to keep the pressure up. Okay, just looking at chat again. I think what we'll do is we'll have a little bit of VT. I'll have my first bit of VT of the night, and this was me in the car last week. It was rather sunny, so I was wearing my shades. Yeah, have a little look at this. I thought I'd start the Marco's Vapour Trails section again, because I quite enjoy doing that. And a few people have said to me over the past couple of events, why don't you do the Marco's Vapour Trails anymore? Well, it's just time, really. Time and other things get in the way, so you don't do a particular section of the show, and we'll bring it back. So I thought I'd do some Marco's Vapour Trails this week, and what I thought I'd do during these Vapour Trails is just do some little juices. Yeah, and today I'm using the Vapour Shark, which, as you can see, if I can do it that way, is getting a little bit warm. Yes, I do have the other one with me in my bag, and that's got the silicone cover on it, or as I like to call it, the Mod Johnny. But I need to get another one for my other RDNA 40 mod. Yes, I do have with me as well the orange VT60 with its silicone cover. And I've got a different juice in that. What I'm going to do is I brought along some titanium coils in my bag, and I will be changing that over when I'm in Scotland, and putting in some other juice, and I think what I'm going to use on that is some Elements Key Lime Pie, which you would have heard me talking to David from Elements about on last week's show, and that is rather tasty, I have to say. I tried it on the stand, and I have a 10ml bottle, so I shall titanium it up in the VT60, and we'll talk about that at some point in another little section. But for the moment, I'm on my first leg of my journey, and my first leg takes me to Washington, Tyne and Weir, and I'll be there for a few hours, and then I shall be then cutting across the country and heading over to South Ayrshire. Yeah. So in the RJ4, I must apologise as well for the bounciness. I can't help the roads. I will try and stabilise the video in post as much as I can. So I've got a coiled up RBA in the sub tank, and it's coiled up at 0.2, and I've got it set at 500 degrees and 25 watts currently. And what I have in here is donut pounder. Yeah, donut pounder. And I got this from the lovely chaps at Herman Vapes, also known as Namba Juice, who were at the last two events, and they do have a Facebook group you can go to. The guys there, very nice guys. We had a really good laugh with them at both events, and I'm looking forward to seeing them at Vape Fest as well. But let me tell you about this donut pounder juice. I actually thought it was donut powder at first, but it's not. It says donut pounder on the bottle, which I believe is in my bag, but I can't get to that right now. It's 6mg, and this is the thing. I've got to just mention this. Never in a million years did I think I would be vaping on 6mg juice, simply because I started at 12mg, that is, not 12 vaping. Started at 12mg, I then went up to 18 or 24, and that was my norm, 18 or 24, mouth to lung, and that was my bag. But since venturing into more sub-ohm vaping, and using more power than I ever used to use, because I would be like 10 watts, you know, or 4.6 volts or whatever now I'm regularly at 25, or on the other Vapour Shark I've got that set at 500 degrees and 40 watts with a 0.16 coil on. The VT60 I have at 60 watts at 500 degrees with a 0.23 coil in it. So as the technology used is changing, you're able to go down to a much lower nicotine strength, and this 6mg is hitting the spot simply because I'm doing more lung inhales than mouth to lung inhales. But let me tell you a little bit more about the juice. And he creates a cloud. I've actually got the airflow quite high, but I'm using, you can't see now, I'll have to open my window. There you go, I've let some of the vapour out. I'm using my Gary Dibley tip, which has got quite a small hole at the top, so it's not a chuff pipe. If I had a chuff pipe on the top, then you'd get even more vapour. But I found that using a smaller tip, you can still do mouth to lung, and if you vary the airflow, you can still do mouth to lung, which is rather good. But this donut pounder juice, it's just like eating a donut. It is. That's what Dave Kitson said to me. He said, "I've got to get some of that donut pounder." Yes, so I got some as well. And it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. It's got quite a nice depth to it. And that was a mouth to lung inhale. It's thick and unctuous vapour, and it is very tasty. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be back later, I think, on my second leg of the journey, and we'll see what else I can tell you. Yes, that was my first little bit of journey last week, filmed on the Samsung S6. Other smartphones are of course available. I've got a nifty little bracket that goes on a windscreen, and it's wireless charging. It spins around. It's very good. Now, going on chat there, who was it that mentioned what? Andy Leach says he's going back to 18mg 50/50. Castello 2 says you end up paying 3 or 4 times more for your use for your liquid, Marco. Well, yeah, I do make a lot. I probably make about 75% of what I vape. So if I'm making it at 6mg, making it at 75, it's probably a little bit cheaper making it at 24 rather, not 75. I use 75 and mix it down. But the stuff that I was getting at the events and stuff, I was 3mg, 6mg, 12, and I've sub-ohmed 24. It's fun for a very short time, and then it's like, no, too much. What else have we got in there? Just having a little bit of a look. Gary Dibby says, yeah, Rob, but it packs a punch. You're talking about the donut pounder, aren't you, Gary? Good evening, by the way. Nice to see you in chat. Yes, I have it in here, and I've got a little bit left, and I've put a bigger tip on. And it is rather tasty, I have to say. I can't chuff out too much because it interferes with my green screen and I disappear, which is not good. I was vaping quite a lot in the car on different juices, and as I said, I did take my orange VT60. I do have some issues with this tank, I have to say. Not the tank, but the actual atomizer itself. You'll see a bit more of that in the next segment, which is coming up in part 3, maybe. No, I'll do it. Actually, I'll do it in a little while, in a couple of minutes. I'll do it. Let me just scan back down to chat. I need somebody here, you see, to look at chat for me. Yes. Kelly James says that I vape 2 to 3 milligram now on a dripper. Yeah, now you see, I'm not a big dripper. I'm not a big dripper. I do have one, which is the Royal Hunter, which was very kindly given to me at Vapour Expo. And I need to change the coils on it, to be fair, because I've been trying, if I go out a shot, all these liquids, which we're going to talk about in part 3. Yes, so I've kind of, I think I need to change it around a bit, because it's getting a bit complicated flavour wise, because I've kind of been mixing them up. That's the thing with the dripper. If you're going to drip different juice, it all gets amalgamated, doesn't it? So you can't really get the flavour of the one you were going to drip on in the first place, type thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a huge dripper. I like to have my tanks, get it full of juice, and then just do my thing. But that doesn't always happen, does it? Let's go to my second section then. Here we go. Here's part 2 of my Vapour Trail.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is I, and I am on my way home now from Scotland. As you know from the first little bit of VT, I was driving up on Wednesday, and I said in that little bit of VT, I had my VT60 with me that I picked up at Vapour Expo, and it had the nickel coil in the tank. Now, I also said that I was going to swap it out for a titanium coil when I had the chance, and I did that on Wednesday night. I vaped the thing dry, and obviously with temperature control that didn't make much difference. Yes, I vaped it dry, so I changed over the coil. Now the coil is still fine, the nickel coil is still fine, it hasn't gone or anything. I just thought I'd swap it out for a titanium one. So I put the titanium coil in and I filled the tank with some nice juice, which is Elements Key Lime Pie, that I mentioned that I had, and it is rather nice, I have to say. And now I have this set at 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's currently at 50 watts. Now the titanium coils come in at about 0.4 ohm resistance, and the nickel coils come in at about 0.23 resistance. This is currently showing as 0.39, more than likely because I've been using it for some time. Let's give it a little blast, shall we? And as you can see, having to open my window to get rid of the vapour, otherwise I will not be able to see in my car. It produces very well. Now, I was talking to the guys in our team Skype last night, and I was saying that I wasn't all that impressed with the titanium coils, and that I thought I was getting a better vape using the tank on a Vapour Shark. But I gave it another try. I've mucked around with the temperatures and with the wattages, but also with the airflow, and I've got this about half open. It's not fully open, it's half open. The tank is a whistler, I have to say. It does like to whistle when you're vaping, but half open airflow on this juice at 50 watts and 500 degrees Fahrenheit seems to be the sweet spot for this particular juice. And I think that is what is so good about these TC devices, whether it be a VT60, whether it be a Vapour Shark, whether it be another incarnation of the DNA 40 chip, or a different type of chip with temperature control. This is the beauty, and once you've got yourself around the flavour and around the right combination for you, that is where it really works, I've got to say. The flavour that's coming off this juice is immense, it really is. The first thing you get is this sweet hit of lime. It just envelops, and as you take an inhale you can feel it kind of rolling around and building, and then when you exhale you're getting like a cookie biscuit crumb base type flavour coming off. It's rather nice. And it produces volumes of vapour. And you're left with this sweetness on your lips, really. It is a rather sweet vape. I do find with Elements juices they are quite sweet. They pack so much flavour into them as well. What I haven't tried yet is the citrus one. I've got some at home. I will try that later. But what I do have waiting for me is something we're going to look at later on in the show. And that is a company called mixervape.com. And what you do with them is you log on, you create an account, and you create your own juices from their flavours. And you can pick what flavours you want and how much of those go into your mix. And you can mix up to 5 different flavours in one concoction. So we'll be looking at that later in the show. I've already done a pre-record of me mixing the juices online. I now have them at home, so when I get back I'm going to wick up my Royal Hunter dripper that I picked up very kindly at Vaper Expo, and we'll try those juices and I shall let you know what I think of them. So that will be coming up later on in the show. Like I said, lovely juice.
There you go. That's my second little bit from the car. And that Elements key lime pie juice is really nice, I have to say. And it's really sweet. And what having this at the moment, strangely that this is orange, because I've got the orange juice in here at the moment. But I've ditched the titanium coil because it really wasn't doing it for me at all. And I swapped over to another nickel coil. But what I've got in here at the moment is a rebuildable coil that I was very kindly given by somebody at Vaper Expo, and I've forgotten the guy's name, and I'm really sorry. So if you're in chat and you gave me the rebuildable CL for the Tornado tank, thank you very much. I've got it coiled up. It's at 0.19 and it's producing rather nicely. Yes. So I did buy a whole box of titanium coils at Vaper Expo to go with this. So I'm going to persevere for a little bit with the titanium coils, but I am a little bit underwhelmed with them, and I do believe that Mr. Kitson is as well. But he will say, because he's in chat, and he's very grumpy tonight because he's been to IKEA. Other furniture stores are of course available, but they don't all sell hot dogs, which is probably the thing. Anyway, let's have the second set of ads, and when we come back, there's more. Yes, see you in 2.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Vapors, Dripper just got 40% bigger. So if you love discovering new e-liquids, tell Dripper what flavours you like and we'll send you 70ml of juice and at least 5 flavours. With a money back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe, dripper.co.uk.
What's in this e-cig cloud? Harmless water vapour, right? Pretty much, yes. Compared to a lit cigarette, it's much safer than smoke. But it contains nicotine, and nicotine on its own isn't toxic and doesn't cause cancer. If you're worried about switching to vapor, here are some facts. No tar, no smoke, no burnt tobacco. Cooking your evening meal produces more toxins than are found in exhaled vapor. Tobacco smoke contains toxins at very high levels, and vapor does not. And that vapor contains 6,000 times less carcinogens than cigarette smoke. Electronic cigarette vapor. There's nothing to be frightened of. The only dangerous electronic cigarette is a banned one.
And now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vapour Trails TV. Vaper Scene is sponsored by Healthy Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
And welcome back to part 3. I was just looking in chat there, and apparently Dave Kitson has got a 5-litre keg of hobgoblin that is still unopened. What I think you should do with that, Mr. Kitson, is bring it to Vape Fest. Yes, because I know you're going. And then you can have the hobgoblin, and Disco Des is bringing a load of cider, and I've just ordered a load of venison to make my burgers with for Vape Fest. So, you know, we're going to have little swapsies. Big barbecue, venison burgers, hobgoblin, cider, fall over, take to aspirin, call me in the morning. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah, that's how Vape Fest is going to be for me, I think, this year. Yes, last year I spent too much time wandering up and down filming. This year I'm going to have half a day wandering up and down filming, and then a day and a half of drinking and eating burgers. And having much merriment. Andy Leach says he finds Andy's voice reassuring. Yes, interesting. But that burger on that little bit of ET bears no resemblance at all to the burgers that I will be taking down to Vape Fest to be cooked on whoever has got a barbecue, because I'm not taking a barbecue. So I shall be stealing space on people's barbecues for, you know, the payment of one burger or something. Yeah. But there you go. Chief Keith says it sounds good to me. Yes. Gordy says finding DK, Des and Marco at Vape Fest. Yes, well, you can't miss this, can you? I'm the tall one. Des is a little bit shorter and about the same height as Dave K. But Dave K's got a big beard, so you can't miss this, really. Well, just look for me and they'll be next to me. Or on the floor, depending on how much of the homebrew we drink. But there you go. Neil Robinson says there's rumours that a local B&M will be doing a minibus trip to Vape Fest this year, so I might make it yet. Yes, well, by B&M we don't mean the discount household store. I mean a bricks and mortar shop. Yes, in case you're watching for the first time. Right, what are we on? Got 14 minutes, so I've got my little bit of ET for you. Now, this bit of ET, apologies for the quality of it because it's a screen grab. I went to a website called Mix of Vape and I made these bottles of juice. Well, I didn't make them, I ordered them online, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. It's quite a neat idea. I'll give you my feedback on said juices after you've seen said VT. Yes, so have a little look. At e-cig Expo a couple of weeks ago, I met a couple of nice chaps called Josh Innes and Sam Greenhalgh, and they have this site that you can see in front of you called Mixer, and it's www.mixervape.com. And as you can see there, you choose up to 5 flavours to go into your vape. You adjust the flavour concentration to make the perfect blend, and then you give it a name and select nicotine and PG/VG strength, and then they mix it for you and send it on. So I have created an account, and what we're going to do is I am going to mix some juices, and then we'll have them sent, and then I'll taste them for you, and we'll see what happens. So I've already created an account, so I'm going to sign in. And I'm going to sign in thus. You then go onto your Mix a Vape page, and you can see there is all sorts of flavors. Yeah, so I think we're going to start with something fruity. What do we think? I think I'm going to go for black cherry, black currant, black cherry, black currant. And maybe a bit of, what do you think? So many choices. Cranberry. There we go. Black cherry, black currant, and cranberry. And we're going to hit next. And then it says how to blend. So you find a perfect blend, a perfect taste, by changing the amount of each flavour in your e-liquid. Drag the bars up or down to adjust the blend of flavours. Got it. So I think we need to have quite a bit of black cherry. So we'll have 40% black cherry. We'll have 25% cranberry and 35% black currant. So that's that. And we'll hit next. Now, the name that appears on the bottle, and we'll call this Marco's Cherry Mix. Now the flavour, I would probably say between 10 and 20%. Now, not knowing what these flavours are like, I don't really know how we're going to go there. So I'm going to leave that at 20% for this bottle. And the nicotine strength, let us try this one at 6 milligram, because then we can use it in the sub tanks. And I would like something like a 30-70, and that would give it plenty of opportunity for wicking as well. So we're going to add that to the basket. Yay! So let's create another one. We'll have peppermint and what should we have? Peppermint and lime. Tahiti distilled. No idea what that is, but we'll give it a go. Now this one, we're going to want less peppermint and more lime. So something like 65% lime with a bit of peppermint should be good. We'll do this one at 15%. And we'll also do this one at 6 milligram. And we'll leave that as 30-70. And we'll call this Minty Lime, or Marco's Minty Lime. Marco's Minty Lime. There we go. So that's that. And we'll add that to the basket. Okay. We'll create another one. Let's have a chocolate and tangerine. Is there any orange in there? No orange. Yeah, chocolate tangerine. There we go. We'll give that a next. And what we want on this one is 60-40. We'll do this at 12 milligram and we'll do it at 30-70. And we'll call this Marco's. Oops, spell it right. tang. Okay, how many bottles are there? That's 3. So let's have some more. We'll have a menthol eucalyptus and lemon lime with some honey. And we'll take the honey down to quite low, and we'll have 50% on the menthol eucalyptus, a little bit of that. So this is kind of a cold remedy one. Marco's remedy. And we'll do 20% flavour, and we'll do this one at 12 milligram and 3070. We'll add that to the basket. And there you go. Let me just mute myself. Yes, there was a couple more. I did 5 in the end, but you get the picture. You can select your flavours, select how much of each flavour you want, and then they mix it and send it out to you. And I saw there, Ridian says, no, that's not a health claim. I just called it Marco's remedy, the last one, because it had menthol, eucalyptus, lime and honey. And I'm vaping on that one in here, which is a Nimbus tank, which I picked up at Vapour Expo. The little brother to the Cumulus tank. Yeah. And the remedy one smells, what's the word I'm thinking of? Rank, actually. It smells awful. It smells really sweet and sickly and honey and awful. And I thought, is this going to turn it into a rank tank? And no, it doesn't actually. It's really, really, really nice. And I shall be making that again. Yes. Now, the minty lime. I made the minty lime, and that is nice as well. It's peppermint and lime, but I need to really have less peppermint and more lime. The Choco Tang, again, I made that with not enough of the citrus. They do have orange now. They didn't have orange before. They do have orange, and they've got some other flavours as well. Have a look and you'll see what flavours they've got. That's not too bad. The cherry one was a bit lackluster, really. Needs a little bit of refinement. And the last one I made was I called it Marco's dessert vape, and this was strawberry, sweet strawberry, cream, and vanilla, with some raspberry, and that's actually quite pleasant. So out of the 5 bottles that I ordered, one is a bit, it's vapeable, but I probably wouldn't make that particular concoction again. This is the danger that you've got. It's a bit like mixing it yourself, although it's more expensive. So I will say that if you're buying all your concentrates, you're spending £3, £4, £5 in a bottle of concentrate, depending on where you get it from. You've got that initial outlay. You don't know how much that costs, if you're going to like it or not. So that could end up, being traded or given away or whatever. So it's not a bad way of doing it. They are 10ml bottles. I did see that going around in chat. So it's £8.49 for a 10ml bottle. The labels have got all the right information on them. They are handwritten, the name, your particular name, and also the information about the mix is on there. The rest is printed, and it's got the tactile triangle on the top of the bottle, and it's a childproof bottle as well. I know they are looking at different bottles and they are looking at different labels, but if you can imagine trying to match up an order and then printing a label for it, the possibilities of that going wrong are there. So the fact that they've got a pre-printed label that they write the information on in indelible pen is good as far as I'm concerned. So only 1 out of 5 was a bit dodgy. I have to say that the guys very kindly gave us some codes so we could try this out. So yes, my favourite has to be the Remedy one that I thought smelt really rank. Go figure that one. Let's see what chat I've got to say. There's a lot of chat talking about Vape Fest, which is the 7th and 8th of August. It's nearly upon us, and there's going to be live music at this one. I'm looking forward to it like you would not believe. It's going to be a great weekend, and I hope the weather is as good as it was at Birmingham, apart from the Sunday where it rained a bit. But if we get rain in the evening, it's okay, apart from if you're camping, in which case you should have booked a hotel. Like I have. I don't camp, no. If I could glamp in a big tent with a nice bed and have a lovely fitted bathroom next to it, then I'd probably glamp, but I prefer a hotel with proper amenities. Yes, and somewhere to, you know, plug in my stuff and charge it and stuff. So let's go on. Liana says China is cheap. I'm not sure what that actually refers to. How many more sleeps, Gordy? I don't know. It's a week on Friday, isn't it? It's the 21st today. 2 weeks on Friday, yeah, or 2 weeks on Saturday. I'm going on the Friday, so I shall be there menimenting from the Friday night until the Sunday afternoon, where I will then wend back up here to start editing for Tuesday's show. So that's just about it. We've got about 10 seconds left, yeah. And I've still got a bit of VT, which is 5 minutes long. So I'll show you that next week. I'll put that in the bank for next week, along with another bit of VT that I've got for next week as well. More to come on that. You will see that next week. So don't forget, tomorrow night it is Matt with Ridian, isn't it? Wasn't it? Marvellous. With the Cave Stroke Melee show. Yes, it's going to be a bit of a different show. And I think I'm on it as well, if I remember rightly. Can't remember what I've agreed to. Last week, obviously, I was incommunicado as of Tuesday night because I was in Scotland, and it's just, I can't do much up there at all. It's more than I can get just to get a bit of Skype chat going on the hotel Wi-Fi, and 4G is not that abundant at the moment, apart from in Glasgow, and I wasn't in Glasgow, so there you go. So don't forget, tomorrow night it is the Cave Stroke Melee with whoever's there. And then I will see you next week. Will I have a guest? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. It's organic. It's how we like it. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, chat. Good night all, and I will see you soon. Tatty bye.
Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.